So I'm calling in today because I find myself in a weird spot. I've called
Mm-hmm.
into you before, and I usually go to people like J. Warner Wallace because of his expertise and experience in this field, but I'm kind of trying to get like a collection of thoughts on this because I've had a couple pastors already tell me their thoughts, and I'm not sure what I think of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation recently. I've been having conversations for a long time with my Mormon family, and I've given them in love every single piece of truth I can think of, and used all my resources, and I've literally handed them everything I've got. And finally, at one point, the words were said to me, "Stop trying to force puzzle pieces that either don't exist or don't fit yet. You don't force your puzzle." And I don't know what it was. Something snapped inside that said that there's nothing else I can say. I just need to say the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally said, I love you and I want you to know the truth. And the reason that I would tell this to you is because I love you, but the person who's trying to force puzzle pieces that don't belong is not me. I believe that you've been deceived.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the beliefs you have are based on lies. And I think that if you really compared what you've been taught to what truly is in the text of Scripture, you'd see it. And I was basically told that I've called their religion a lie and that we can't have those conversations anymore. Unfortunately, we're still okay on talking terms, but I've asked a few pastors about whether or not that was the right thing to do. I kind of felt like, God has led people in the past to just say the truth. And maybe I should just stop beating around the bush and just say, listen, I think Mormonism is a lie.
Right.
And some people have said you shouldn't have done that. You should never tell people what they believe is based on a lie. Always be Jesus to them and give them the truth, but don't tell them what they believe is a lie. And I thought, okay, well, what does Greg think about this?
Yeah, okay. Well, what matters most is what Jesus thinks about it. I'm glad they cited Jesus, be like Jesus, because I just turned to John 8. All right, and I'm going to just read some stuff here.
Okay.
All right, and Jesus is engaging the Jews who are pushing back at him pretty hard, and they have been for a while here. And John 8 is filled with, this is where the Son shall set you free, you shall be free indeed, the truth shall set you free, etc. And the truth he is talking about is not just any old truth. It's his, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, then you will know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And then he makes it clear that the truth brings freedom from slavery to sin. All right, but then he says, as they're fighting back on this, he talks about another kind of, in a certain sense, slavery. Okay, he says, "If the Son will make you free, you'll be free indeed." And then, I know you're Abraham's descendants. I'm reading now. Yet you seek to kill me because my word is no place in you. I speak the things which I have seen from my Father. Therefore, you also do the things which you have heard from your father. What's he talking about there? Okay, drop down to that's in verse 38, but drop down to verse 44. You are of your father the devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning. He does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. Whenever he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own nature, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I speak the truth, you do not believe me. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that in Jesus' manner here, he was saying that they were being deceived?
Yes.
Actually, I think he put it a little more strongly. He said, I am speaking the words of my Father. You speak the words of your father. Your father is the devil. Would you say that's a little stronger than what you said to your friends or family
Quite
members?
a bit, actually.
Yeah. So if we're going to use Jesus as an example, then maybe we should look at how Jesus comported himself in certain circumstances. I do not think that in a sense, categorically, it is wrong for you to say somebody's deceived. I don't think it's categorically wrong to say that somebody is on their way to hell. Okay? But that doesn't mean I'm going to come up to say, you're deceived of the devil, you're going to hell.
Right.
Just kind of out of the blue. But you didn't do that. You've been over, you've turned over every single stone with them. And if you had conversation with Jay Warner, at least you drank from his well. He understands the Mormonism because he's got Mormons in his family. He's a sharp guy.
Yeah.
So that means he's going to give you more than I could give you, and that means you cover the distance. And finally, you're at a point where you're saying, look, you have been deceived. The devil has deceived you. And unless you see that, you are not going to be rescued. Okay? So I have done this before myself. I have been straightforward. Sometimes I say, after I had a conversation with a person and, maneuvering tactically and trying to help them to see some things, then finally I'll say, okay, here's what I have to say to you. And I say it friendly, let's just say it's Fred, right? Okay, Fred, here's what I got to say. I think you're deceiving yourself. I don't think you're being intellectually honest. You said this, and then I asked this, you said this, and then you said this. Do you see how those don't add up? You are fooling yourself. So in that case, I didn't say you're being deceived by the devil, but I did point out they were being deceived. They're self-deceived. And that's culpable, blindness. That's willful blindness right there. And in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, those who are deceived by the Antichrist are deceived because they did not love the truth. That's right there in the text. They did not love the truth so as to be saved, I think is the way Paul puts it in 2 Thess chapter 2, I believe. So in principle, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so I'm just going to say, regarding your friends who says you should never say that, I just think they're flat out wrong. And if they say you should follow Jesus, Jesus didn't follow that advice.